March 13, 2022, Colombia elected a new Congress. How many women want a seat in Congress? How does it compare with past elections? Does Congress have gender parity? In this video, we will discuss women's political participation in Colombia's legislative elections. First, we need to introduce some context. Colombia is a bicameral system with a Senate of 108 seats elected in one national district and a Chamber of Representatives elected on a state basis with the amount of seats per state determined by population size. Historically, Colombia is behind some other countries in the region which established gender quotas in the 1990s and early 2000s. Colombia first introduced a gender quota for candidacies for legislative bodies in 2011. This quota mandates that 30% of candidates per party for Congress, state assemblies, and local councils have to be women. However, not only this quota is small at just 30%, but also it is not universal, since it does not apply in some electoral districts. Special seats in Congress for indigenous, Afro-Colombian people, and Colombians abroad, along with 19 of the country's states with less than 5 seats in the Chamber of Representatives, do not have to enforce the gender quota. The first congressional elections since the approval of the gender quota were in 2014, and the number of women elected increased to the point that 20% of the members of Congress in 2014 were women. However, in 2018, the number of women elected in Congress remained near 20%, meaning that 30% gender quota had reached its peak since parties were using the gender quota as the maximum number of women on their list. With this in mind, let's talk about the results of the 2022 elections and how many women will be members of Congress for the period of 2022 to 2026. Let's begin with the Senate. 100 seats are elected in a national district and 2 seats are part of the indigenous special seats. After the 2016 peace agreement, the political party of the former FARC, now Comunes, has 5 seats in the Senate for 2018 to 2026. And there is 1 final seat in the Senate for the runner-up of the presidential election. In 2022, 32 women were elected as senators, 29 for the national district, 1 for the indigenous district, and 2 for the Comunes party, meaning 30% of the senators will be women. This represents an increase compared to the 2018 election when only 21% of senators were women. Additionally, for the first time in history, 1 woman will take 1 of the seats for indigenous communities. Now, let's talk about the chamber. In the chamber, 161 seats are elected on a state basis among 33 districts, including Bogotá. The larger the population, the larger the number of seats per state. All states have a minimum of 2 seats, and as we previously mentioned, depending on the amount of seats, parties have to enforce the 30% gender quota. Currently, 19 of the 33 territories are exempt from this quota. In total, 48 women were elected as representatives, being 28% of all seats for the chamber. This is an increase compared with 2018, when the proportion of women elected was only 18% of the total of seats. 10 of the 19 states without the gender quota did not elect a woman for the chamber, and of the 14 states that do have to enforce the gender quota, only 1 did not elect a woman. That's Norte de Santander, which has never in its history elected a woman as a representative. Regarding the special seats, 1 woman was elected as representative for the only seats of Colombians abroad, and 2 women were elected for the 2 special seats for Afro-Colombian communities. The seat in the Chamber for Indigenous Communities was won by a man. Now we're going to talk about one of the most important aspects of this election, the special seats for peace. These seats were conceived to be elected in 2018 and again in 2022. However, a problem in its regulation in Congress in 2017 was solved until 2021 by a decision of the Constitutional Court, meaning these seats will be elected in 2022 and 2026. These seats have some special requirements. First, all candidates have to be registered victims of the armed conflict in the Victims National Registry. Second, the candidates are not nominated by political parties and should not have a past as elected officials. Only social and women's organizations in different indigenous and Afro-Colombian communities had the chance of nominating candidates. Third, the candidates had to be listed in pairs with gender parity, meaning 1 of the 2 candidates nominated by each organization had to be a woman. And finally, only the rural areas of the 167 municipalities could vote for these seats. Citizens registered to vote in the urban areas of these municipalities could not vote for the special seats for peace. In total, for the 16 available seats, 1 per district, 410 candidates were nominated, and of them, 202 were women, meaning that 202 women who are victims of the armed conflict run for the first time as candidates for Congress. Only 3 women won a seat in the 16 districts, 1 in Arauca, 1 in south of Córdoba, and 1 in the area of Urabá, Antioquia. For more information on women's political participation, visit moe.org.co and follow us across social media at Moe Colombia.